welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 6, Episode 14, Something New. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off, with Zach fighting J Bones, tearing his behind down, beating him to a bloody pulp, right? Two of his goons, they run in there to try to help J Bones, and now we see the tables have turned because they jump Zach, and now they're kicking and stomping and beating him down to the ground. So then Fatima, she goes in her purse, the same one that Zach told her to leave home, pulls that thing out and fires one single shot. So they all get down, they lay low. And she's like, move, get over there. So they follow suit. So Zach, he yells out for Michael. Michael runs out the room with his little play toy. And he already got his coat and stuff on. So Zach, he gets up holding his side. They done kicked and stomp on him. So he's over there in pain. He's holding on to Michael, telling them it's going to be okay. And then Fatima's alter ego, Minnie Madam, kicks in. And she's asking him, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And they're looking at her like, no, we don't. Who are you supposed to be? So Fatima tells J Bones and crew to roll their sleeves up, I guess so she can see what their gang affiliation is by the tattoos that they had on their arm. She then makes a call, I'm assuming, to her cousin Madam. She gives the person the location where they are, and the person in question, which she says calls themselves J Bones. So when she hangs up the phone, she goes to comfort Michael, and that's when we see that J Bones gets a phone call. So he's talking to the person. When he hangs up, he apologizes to Fatima, and she tells him, I'm not the one you're supposed to be apologizing to. So I'm guessing she wanted him to apologize to Zach and Michael, but we didn't get to hear that apology. Maybe it happened off camera or something. So Zach, Fatima, and Michael, they're outside. Zach is nervous, shaking like a leaf, scared. He's asking frantically, Fatima, what was that? What was that? What was that all about? So they are quickly greeted by the nosy neighbor, who tells them that she just called the police. So she didn't ask them, was that a gunshot I just heard? Zach is like, ma'am, please, like, we ain't got time for that. And she was like, I know a gunshot when I hear one. And I'm like, well, damn, if you do, you need to be somewhere laying low, not trying to go search for the threat, girl. Go find somewhere where you are safe. Go in the house. Please, go in the house. That's where you need to be. So anyway, she says, well, I hope you unalive the mofo, and told them the police ain't coming no way. So, why did you call them then? So Fatima, Zach, and Michael, they're headed towards the car. And then we see this gang of guys dressed all in black and have bats and stuff all in their hands. So Fatima was like, he's upstairs. Zach, he's scared as hell. Again, he don't know what to do with himself. He is still asking Fatima, what is that? Like, what's going on? Fatima ignoring the hell out of him and was like, come on, let's get in the car, trying to get Michael in the back seat. So Fatima, she's in the back seat holding Michael. Michael is allegedly sleeping, and Zach can't get it off his mind. He's still asking Fatima, what was that back there? He tells her, look, I'm going to pull over and you get in the front seat so we can talk. And at this point, I'm just so confused why Zach is so amazed at what just took place. Over in Zatima, he came to the table with Paul and Fatima and told her, you need that hood. You need that gutter, that bout it, gangsta. Even though he was trying to talk about sex, I guess. So in reality, that was that gangsta hood that Fatima already had in her life. So she didn't need a damn thing. So in previous episodes, we have seen them have conversations about Madam, about how crazy and about it her family is. So I don't understand why Zach is acting so shocked and scared and surprised that that could actually take place. So when Fatima gets in the front seat, she's like, what was what? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he's like, what was that back there? Like, once again. So she's like, look, I don't really like calling my family for favors, but basically that's what it was. The guys are part of the Black Rock Boys, and my cousin, which we know is Madam, she runs that crew. So Zach wants to know if they're going to unalive him, and Fatima tells him the less we know, the better. And he was like, oh, it's like that? So Fatima tells Zach she doesn't know what they're going to do with J Bones, All she knows is he had no business putting his hands on a child. And Zach, he agrees. So that sends her into this emotional little state where she wants to bring up Zach with his childhood. But Zach, he really kind of shuts it down. He really doesn't want to go there and talk about it. So Zach, he just pretty much tried to get Fatima to focus on the fact that they have Michael now and they'll do what they can to make sure that he's good. So Fatima says that Heather's going to flip out when she finds out that they have Michael, but Zach says he'll go and talk to her. So we get yet another copy and paste scene between Hayden and Gary. We see Hayden on the phone calling Tamara for like the umpteenth time, leaving a voice message where he is getting absolutely no response, but he keeps calling. So he gets a knock on the door. Of course, it's Gary. Who else would it be? So Gary says he's there to pick up some documents that apparently Hayden forgot all about. So of course, Hayden, he's still distracted by Tamara and that whole situation. Gary basically told him, forget about her, you'll meet somebody new. Hayden brought up Jasmine and how fast Gary was with her and got married and this and that and the other. And Gary told him, and you see how it all turned out. So Hayden decided to tell Gary that he went to Tamara's house, and I was shocked at the fact that he even knew where Tamara stayed in the little 2-week time they were together. I didn't think he knew much about her, where she lived and all of that. But he said he went there, but nobody answered. And Gary was like, you didn't break in, did you? And Hayden had this little mischievous look on his face like, no, I didn't break in. Like I did something, but I didn't break in. That's what he was giving. So the two of them, they get into that usual banter where Gary feel like he knows everything that's going on about love, and Hayden flips it back on him because Gary is doing the exact same thing when it comes to Andy. So Hayden, he brings up the website and Andy's profile and who she's dating on there. Gary try to act like he's unbothered and don't care nothing about it. So you could tell that Gary gets in his little feelings and catches a little attitude, acting like he's gathering up the documents ready to go. And Hayden is like, oh, so you getting ready to go look for Andy? Tells him he's just as creepy as he claims Hayden is. So Hayden had to let it be known, look, we both are just alike. We both are pathetic. And I said, I'm with you when you're right. You two are pathetic. You are correct, Hayden. And Gary, he begged to differ. He said they are not the same. Hayden told him, you could stay in your delusional stage all you want to, but at least I have some type of self-awareness. So Hayden pretty much kicked Gary out. So as Gary's trying to leave, he decides he wants to prank phone call Hayden. So he calls his phone and pretends to be Tamara. And Hayden actually fell for it. I'm like, that was crazy. And I remember back when Zach did that to Danny, because Danny was acting the same way, act like she didn't want to talk to Preston. So Zach, he dialed her number to make the phone ring, and Danny damn near broke her neck trying to get to that phone. So we go over there to Billy Jake's, and we see Andy and Jordan. They're vibing, laughing, having a great time. He tells her that she's beautiful. She says that she's shy. And I said, Andy, you a damn lie. You are a liar, girl. The way you went over there to Paris's house in dominatrix mode and hunched him on the sofa with his grandma all in the next room, nothing is shy about that. The way you go to work half the time with your chest all out, sitting up there having a threesome with Robin, you are not shy, child. Stop the foolishness. So anyway, back to this date. So apparently the date was supposed to last like an hour. They've been having such a great time laughing and kikiing, getting to know each other that it's literally been 3 hours. They've been sitting here and haven't even noticed the time. So he's asking her, has she ever been married? She tells him that after hearing his story, she doesn't know if she wants to or not. And I'm like, why couldn't we hear his story on camera? Like, I really would like to know what happened in the marriage, what went wrong to where he no longer wants to marry again. I would love to know that. So he asked her about being married, being engaged. She says that, yes, she was engaged, but that's over now. Is it really, Andy? Is it? Are you really through with Gary this time? She says she has to get up and go to work. They really don't want the date to end, but, it's getting late. So they look for their friends. They find out that they're at the table together. So Jordan comes up with this idea that they should prank the friends and tell them that they had a bad date. So they get over there to the table where their friends are, and they're like, let's go, let's go. And all the friends are like, what, Jay, what's going on? Like, what's up? And, they start their banter back and forth, talking about how horrible the date was. And this and that and the other. Tony is embarrassed. Rich, he's trying to apologize. Danny, she's trying to calm Andy down, and Sabrina is nervous and scared as usual, talking about, I think we should go. So Jordan said that all Andy did was run her mouth at the table and talk about herself and her friends and how awful they were. So Danny apparently got in her little feelings, and she was like, oh, hell to the no. She looked at Sabrina and pointed and told her, it's time to go. As if to say, girl, we here for you and you over there talking about us? So to somewhat break the ice and to end the prank, Jordan says, I wish I could take you back to my place right now and make love to you, which I don't think that was part of the prank. I think he was being for real, for real. And Andy, being the shy girl that she just told Jordan she was not even 5 minutes ago, said, I think I might like that. So everybody looking around like, what the hell is going on here? So Jordan and Andy, they come clean to tell the friends that it was all a joke, it was a prank. Danny says that she was getting ready to take her earrings off, beat Andy and Jordan down. Sabrina chimes in and says she was ready. She was about that life for a brief second. And because they were looking at Sabrina like, what, you was going to do something? And Sabrina said she was ready, child. So Rich was like, oh, I sure would like to have seen that. And Sabrina said, push me and you'll find out. I said, well, all right, Sabrina, I see you, girl. Rich said, say less. I said, oh, my. So the guys decide to ask the ladies out on another date the following night. And Danny says she can't. He knows why, because of Preston. Sabrina over there talking about she got a lot going on. And Danny looking at her like, girl, you ain't got nothing going on. Like, girl, get that man, get that chocolate, girl. Like, what is your problem? Anyway, so eventually, after they talk it through, they decide that they're going to meet at Jordan's house the next day for a barbecue at 8 o'clock. And Danny is going, even though she is official, with Preston. So now that the second date is already set, Rich says that, the girls have had a lot to drink, like maybe they should take them home or something. The girls are like, they're fine. So they come up with this bright idea about riding a city bus to try to extend the date that they're currently on. And I personally feel like it's time to go home. If I got to get up and go to work the next morning, it would be a no for me, mainly because of the timing of it all. So Sabrina seemed like she really didn't have a problem. Danny actually was the first one to say she was all in. And Andy pretty much was the one dragging her feet. And after about 10 minutes, they kind of convinced her to go ahead and do it. And that was after Sabrina said she was in if Andy was in. So they decide they're going to get on this bus 11 o'clock at night, going where, who knows. So we get outside and they're walking and talking, and Rich and Sabrina are having a conversation, and he asks her, is she okay? And she says she has a lot on her mind, but she doesn't want to share right now. He seems to, do some little magical thing where he feels like he's throwing her problems into the universe so she could free her mind. And she's like, I wish it was that easy. And he tells her that she's special, and she wants to know, how do you know that? And he says, I know special when I see it. So he offers his jacket to her because he says she over there shimmering and shaking because apparently it's cold outside. She doesn't want the jacket, but he insists that she takes it. So he puts the jacket on her, and I'm like, he just looked like he smelled good. So Tony, he also offers up his jacket to Danny. So he notices a lady across the street who's selling flowers, and all three men, they go across the street and they bring back one single rose for each of the ladies. And the bus finally gets here, and they get on the bus. And of course, Andy still was kind of dragging her feet, but she does get on. So they get on the bus, and Andy and Jordan, they're talking, and she says that getting on the bus is triggering for her because it reminds her of her childhood. Then she tells this story about her mom taking her to school on the city bus. And it sounded like she was making it up as she went along, but okay. And that her mom had to rush back to get back on the bus to go to her second job. And she did have her dad in the house. They just worked a lot and to take care of her. And when he asked about her dad, we learned that he's passed away. Jordan says he's been able to do nice things for his parents. They are now retired and live in Florida. And Andy tells that she's been able to do some nice things for her mom. And hopefully we get to eventually meet the girls and their mothers. So Jordan, he tries to go in for a kiss, saying that he wanted to kiss her from the moment he saw her. And Andy had to put a stop to that and says, she thinks time is important. Like, she wants to get to know him first. So Danny and Tony, they're having a conversation, and he's still talking about all the things he has heard her talk about over the phone and telling her that it's a lot and that, she's gone through a lot of stuff. And she tells him, and you still want to talk to me? Like, why? So Tony tells Danny that he's just been trying to work up the nerve to step to her. And when he first saw her, he thought she was a 10. And she's like, thank you. She says, but I'm really a 15. And, they laugh and vibe and all of that. And he basically just started pouring positive affirmations in her because apparently in listening to her conversations, he realized that there's something with Danny, and he lets her know, like, you're enough. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're strong for you and your friends. And he gently puts the rose in her hair, and he tells her once again, you're beautiful. She's skinning and grinning, cheesing, all smitten and giddy. And that's all good. But Danny, you have a man. Preston, ding, 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 Preston, hello. Like, we don't know if Preston dead or alive. Like, what's up with Preston, girl? That's like one of the main issues I see with you frolicking all over town with Tony. And the fact that you haven't even called Preston to check on him after knowing you left him in a bad way is mind-boggling. So the two of them, they continue to talk, and Tony is like being with her at that moment. He's never been happier. So Tony, he asks Danny, does she know who Coach Brown is? Because he was somewhat famous. And, they say he was their old basketball coach. And he basically instilled, things into them that they still know today, how to respect women, how to do this, how to do that. Basically, how to be a good man. So they mentioned that he passed away last year. And his wife called up all his old players and had them meet up in an old school gym, and this was what he wanted while he was on his deathbed. And he gave some speech basically telling them to be great men, husbands, and fathers, and basically telling them to treat the black woman right, and if they don't do right, he gonna come haunt them, blah, blah, blah. So they miss him. They say he was a great man. So Danny asked the $1 million question, what did he have to say about the three of you getting divorces if you such great men, fathers, and husbands? Like, what happened? So Rich says, and he quotes, the coach told them, leave that be. She wasn't worth your time anyway. I'm like, really? That's what he said? So while they lacking about that, the bus driver stops the bus and tells them, look, he came to the end of the road and he was heading back to the station. Andy over there having heart palpitations, freaking out, and the bus driver is like, you don't have to go home, but you're going to have to get up off of here. So basically, they got to get up off the bus. It's probably after midnight. It's dark. Andy talking about she got mace. Danny over there talking about, I know where you work at. They scared to get off the bus with the men. But why was the couple in the back still on the bus? Like, they didn't know where they was going either? Like, that didn't even make sense. And the bus driver had a real attitude talking about he tired. So when they get off the bus, Andy, she has a major attitude. And they're talking about, it's late. They ready to go. It's time to end this night. And Andy was like, she already called the ride share to be there in 3 minutes. Jordan wants to know, is it big enough for them to get in? And Andy was like, hell to the no. Like, y'all 3 grown-ass men, find your own ride. And everybody like, damn, it's like that? So Danny was like, well, y'all do have us out here in the middle of nowhere. So they all agreed that everybody had a good time. The ride share gets there, so the girls, they're walking off, and they're happy. They had a great time. They said it was different. They liked it. They liked the guys. And they can't believe that they really just meet 3 great guys in Atlanta. So Pam, she calls Karen to check on her, and Karen tells her that she's getting ready to go to the store. And she was like, girl, it's late. She said it's 11 o'clock. And me and Pam was like, girl, yeah, that's late. She was like, well, do you want to go for me? Pam was like, girl, it's dark outside. Like, I'm not doing that. She said, call Aaron. Karen said she wasn't doing that. So Karen was trying to hang the phone up, and Pam was like, wait a minute, like, my rent getting ready to be due, like, and Karen said, well, you just got your check. And she was like, well, what about the other 2 weeks? Karen was like, I don't have it. I don't got it to do. Maybe you need to go file unemployment. And Pam was like, that's not enough money for me. So Karen was like, I don't know what to tell you because I don't have the money to give you. And Pam basically told her, you should have never tore up that check that Zach gave you. So Pam wanted to know when Karen planned on opening the shop back up. And Karen was like, she can't call it. She have no idea. And Pam was like, look, I might have to, I have to know how I got a plan, and I may have to get a second job. Karen was like, I understand, because you got to do what you got to do. So they have their usual little banter back and forth, and they end up hanging up. So Karen, being hungry and wants something to eat, she goes to the store 11 o'clock at night. And when she gets there, who does she run into? Fatima, Michael, and Zach. And that's where the episode ends. This episode pretty much was a filler, but it was refreshing at the same time. So what did you guys think of the episode? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were. As always, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.